We've known for a while now that the Dune franchise was going to expand into the TV world with Dune, the Sisterhood, but more details are starting to emerge. Recently, we got a big reveal about the casting of two of the lead characters, and who those characters are. In this video, we'll be talking about the casting news and why you should be excited. First up, the show has added two powerhouse actresses to its cast. Playing Valia Harkonnen will be Emily Watson, who should not be confused with Emma Watson of the Harry Potter franchise. Speaking of Emma Watson though, Harry Potter's Shirley Henderson will be taking on the role of Tula Harkonnen. Emily Watson will be most familiar to you from her role in Chernobyl, where she played the nuclear physicist Ulyana Khomyak and desperately tried to get to the bottom of the Chernobyl power plant disaster. That role scored her a Golden Globe and an Emmy nomination, but she's also had high-profile movie roles in Kingsman, The Golden Circle, Warhorse, and Equilibrium. She even held her own against none other than Daniel Day-Lewis in The Boxer, and that was early in her career. Shirley Henderson is best known as the Moaning Myrtle, the ghost that haunts the girls' toilet in Hogwarts and ends up becoming a major part of the mystery in Chamber of Secrets, while also making an appearance in Goblet of Fire. Her other major roles include Trainspotting and its belated sequel, Bridget Jones' Diary. She also plays a very interesting character in the 2022 Whodunit, See How They Run. We totally suggest you check that movie out to find out what role she plays. We've only listed snippets from both actresses' extensive filmographies. You can see that HBO has really pulled out the big guns for their Dune show, just like they pulled out the big guns for the movie. Next, let's learn a little more about the show they're in. Not much is known about the actual plot of Dune, the Sisterhood, besides the fact that it's a prequel series that'll focus on the Bene Gesserit, an all-female group of sci-fi psychics who are engineering the birth of the Kwisatz Haderach. Specifically, the series will see Valia and Tula Harkonnen establish the Bene Gesserit, beginning a thread of history that, in the books, stretches across thousands of years. While we'd love to see a TV show from visionary director Denis Villeneuve, he's serving as the executive producer on the show. The creator of the show is Diane Ademu John, who will be running the show alongside Alison Shapker. The second name should be especially exciting for some of y'all, as she served as a producer on shows like Lost, Alias, Fringe, Altered Carbon, and even Westworld. Her sci-fi TV show accolades are not to be questioned. There's still no update on the release of the show. If anything, this casting actually confirms that the show is still on the table, which wasn't something we could take for granted with Discovery going on a tear through Warner Brothers' ongoing projects. This is a sign that the new management is convinced that a Dune franchise is viable. We suppose the show may come out sometime after Dune Part 2's 2023 release. Now, you could have passed the time by reading the source material, but no source material has been named by anyone working on the show. We could assume that the show will draw on the many Dune prequels that have come out since Frank Herbert passed away, but fans of the original series tend to note those. If you're willing to wade into the divisive pool of Brian Herbert's books to learn more about the Bene Gesserit, then the book you'll want to pick up is Sisterhood of Dune, published in 2012. It's the first part of the Great Schools of Dune trilogy, and it picks up almost a century after the humans won their war against the thinking machines. The trilogy sees the Bene Gesserit, Mentat, and Suk schools, along with the Spacing Guild, deal with anti-technology groups that are gaining power in the aftermath of the defeat of the thinking machines. Not only will these schools have to control that threat, but they'll have to grow themselves at the same time. Valia Harkonnen is a character in this book, which might be a clue that Dune, the Sisterhood, will be following the lines of Sisterhood of Dune to some extent. That being said, Denis Villeneuve has described himself as a hardcore fan of the books, so we seriously doubt he'll have anything to do with these prequels and their take on thinking machines as Terminator-esque robots. We'll close by looking at what the future of the franchise could look like. Even though Hollywood has struggled to bring Dune to life on the big screen, the truth is that it might be the most straightforward of the original novels to adapt. Villeneuve has said, though, that his dream would be to do the book in 2 parts and then follow it with an adaptation of Dune Messiah, which would make up a Paul Atreides trilogy. That being said, he's also complained about how hard it is to shoot these movies in the desert, so it's up in the air how long he sticks around on Arrakis. We suppose Dune Messiah could be adapted easily enough by another director, and if sci-fi can do a Children of Dune series, then so can Warner Brothers. The books after that, though, are going to pose a challenge. How, for example, do you adapt God Emperor of Dune? It's the musings of a man who has merged himself with a sandworm, and things get weirder than that. Meanwhile, if the studios are going to tap into Brian Herbert's books, are they going to adapt them directly? Will we soon see the Terminator-esque robots or the reveal that Baron Vladimir Harkonnen's weight is caused by a curse? There are a lot of controversial elements in those books. It's possible that Denis Villeneuve might take the best of the novels and shape them into something unique from the books. Blade Runner 2049 shows that Villeneuve can do amazing work in building out sci-fi stories and universes. In other news, Florence Pugh has some notes on the script of Dune Part 2. The actress who has recently embedded herself into the fabric of the MCU is now taking a gamble on the burgeoning sci-fi franchise, playing Princess Ireland in the second part of the Dune epic. While a lot of people, us included, are super stoked for more of Florence, she seems less than stoked about her scenes. So the thing she's dissatisfied with is that she doesn't have enough scenes. Bet you were expecting something more dramatic than that, but the truth is that Florence just really enjoyed playing the character and working with the cast. Apparently, she begged the director to include more scenes of her in the deserts of Arrakis, but Denis Villeneuve is an artist and he won't be shaken from his commitment to the story. Florence might be hoping that the director does adapt Dune Messiah eventually, as Princess Ireland plays a pretty major role in that movie. The character is the daughter of the Emperor and also a member of the Bene Gesserit, but she's never really the focus of the story in the first novel. Next up, the crew reveals how hard it was to shoot Dune. While the first movie was largely shot in the deserts of Abu Dhabi in the UAE, the sequel is including many more locations in its traveling shoot. But they did return to Abu Dhabi for the sequel, shooting scenes in the Liwa Oasis and the Ruba Kali Desert. They also filmed ornithopters in flight by filming helicopters flying over the Emirati skies. Adding to their desert arsenal, the crew also filmed in the protected desert wilderness of Wadi Rum in Jordan. Located in Aqaba in southern Jordan, the Wadi Rum has a unique look that complements the Abu Dhabi-based deserts that make up most of Arrakis. We'll also be returning to Caladan in the sequel, and those scenes are shot in the fjords and rocks of Stadlandet in Norway. The vast oceans and heavy rain of Caladan are meant to contrast the world of Arrakis, where water is scarce. And finally, Jason Momoa fans have something to be excited about. We know that some of y'all love yourselves a gory hunk of Jason Momoa, and were absolutely crushed when his character, Duncan Idaho, valiantly sacrificed his life for Paul and Jessica Atreides. But Momoa has teased that he would be willing to return to the franchise. It just won't be happening in Dune Part 2. Of course, anyone who's read the books knows that Duncan Idaho is a more regular appearance in the story than even Paul himself. We've talked a bit about Dune Messiah, for instance, and if that book were to be adapted, you'd eventually find Momoa on the cast list. If we can combine the power of Dune nerds and Jason Momoa fans, we might just be able to manifest enough desert power to get Warner Brothers to greenlight Dune Messiah. Or we could just turn up to the film and stuff at that box office. That'd work too. That's it for today's video. Are you excited about Dune: The Sisterhood? How do you feel about HBO cribbing from Brian Herbert's books for this series? Let us know in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.